Morning, everyone. We're going to give it another 2 to 3 minutes to have people roll in, and then we'll be kicking off. Good. So I see a good amount of you have jumped in. Great to have you today. I'm being joined by Panu Pasanen, CEO and founder of Click LCA. We've been working together for a few months now in supporting our joint customers end to end on their ESG challenges, whether that is scope 1 to 3 measurements, compliance, LCAs, or EPDs. We're trying to offer a unified solution to help them become successful. But today is really going to be about how you, as a consultant or an advisor, can help your customers find success with technology solutions. There's a lot of challenges that we've been hearing from the market. And today we're going to kind of double click on those, um, share some knowledge of what we have learned, and possibly some solutions that could help you grow your business more efficiently. Um, so the plan for today, we're going to do a quick intro, 2 minutes each, and then jump into the scaling challenge. So what's really holding back growth in ESG advisory? It's been exciting times for a few sectors, but sustainability is here to stay. As we've all been saying for years, it's not going to change. Now, we're going to dive deep into how technology changes the game for ESG advisors on 4 aspects. And then finally, we're going to be closing off with a few success stories from Click LCA, who've really proven this model over the past 2 decades, if I'm not mistaken, Panu, with tons of their customers across the world. Finally, we're going to have a live Q&A. So please, when you have questions, post them in the questions tab at the bottom right. At the end of the session, we'll be answering those live for you. And whatever there is, if we don't find time during the session, we'll have our contact details up on the slide. Feel free to reach out to any of us. So quickly on Coolset, founded in 2021. What we do is ESG software for mid-market enterprises, starting from anything like verified carbon measurements over scope 1, 2, and 3, up until compliance with frameworks like CSRD, EU taxonomy, or the voluntary VSME. Later this year, we're also launching solutions for EUDR and CBAM. So if your customers are involved in those, you know where to find us. And we do that through 2 suites. Our compliance management suite, which speaks for itself, anything that has to do with compliance, and carbon management on automated scope 1, 2, and 3 footprints. And Panu is going to dive a little bit deeper how that plays together with Click LCA and how LCAs provide sometimes the details that are needed for proper ESG management within an organization. And a final addition is that, as with all our plans, we work with unlimited users for yourself and for your customers. So really, you're getting an all-in-one future-proof solution for your ESG ambitions and those of your clients. Now, off to you, Panu.
Yeah, Hello, everybody. So my name is Panu Pasanen, CEO and founder of Click LCA. We do lifecycle assessment software. Um, we are the largest LCA software platform in the world today. We specialize in just two sectors, so we are not targeting everything: manufacturing and construction. And within these sectors, we provide huge amount of different compliance modules. So idea being is that if your customer asks, for compliance with a specific standard, you just pick it from the module library and you go with it. Uh, we also plug all the major industry software to Click LCA, so we have native integrations or downloadable plugins for most of them, and we have a huge amount of LCA data sets in the platform. So I think today the number is closer to 400,000, but maybe not over 400,000. Click LCA is used in a bit over 170 countries. So that's about it. I think next, please. And we have consistent product line, but with different solutions across construction and manufacturing. So in both sectors, we serve customers who want to work on carbon, compliance, and growth. The topmost boxes are for construction and design, and the bottommost for manufacturing. So if we go in horizontal order, so covering first the construction. So when we work in construction, we provide a LCA platform where you can do work on everything your building footprint includes, whether you're an industrial company who has some buildings or whether you're a company working in this sector. We integrate with all the platforms over there that anybody uses. Then we do provide carbon, lifecycle costing, circularity, and biodiversity solutions, and we also have early design solutions which are quite relevant for differentiation. And then if we go to manufacturing, which I believe is probably the more relevant sector for the attendance today. So we provide LCA and eco design software, so you are able to evaluate different ways to design your product, different sourcing, how could you change the product impacts over its life cycle for the better, hopefully, and how you can productize that into a productized, well, package it in, that data into an environmental product declaration that then gets third-party verified and published in our EPD program operator. So we have digital workflow. So some of these EPD program operators and others, there's the classical route. Um, very relevant commercially for consulting industry today. And then finally, for manufacturers, we also support being able to analyze what's happening with the EPD, so you can understand what's the traction that they are getting and who's engaging with them, and when are they being considered and where. So that's Click LCA's offering: 3 pillars, 2 product segments. Next, please. And why we are excited to partner with Coolset is because Coolset works on the, let's say, on the big picture view, in the sense that ESG looks at many aspects, entire activity, and anybody working on greenhouse gas accounting knows that the scope 3 is almost always, well, whether it's 90% or 80 or 70 depends obviously on your sector, right? If you are a cement maker, it's obviously not 70%, but most companies it's very clearly like the dominant driver. And there are going to be a lot of hotspots where you actually don't necessarily have the data, but you should have. And what we do then in LCA is all about the granular data, um, understanding what are the options between different products, different suppliers. So instead of working on economic or generic or unspecific data, we are able to find data sets which are specific, represent the product you're actually buying. And if that's not the case today, then you can get somebody to do them for you. And that allows you to understand better where you actually are at, and also hopefully to find ways to do better than you would be otherwise doing by substituting your suppliers or products to something that's more sustainable. Thanks. And then if we look at this from a bigger picture point of view, so then as Konstantinos said just before, the full spectrum sustainability here means that we are able to provide a unified offering, which allows you to work across all of your ESG challenges. Well, let's say predominantly European standards being reflected here. So greenhouse gas accounting, CSRD, taxonomy, and VSME. And then on the other hand, you can work on the granular LCA data for the activities you need to zoom in on, or which are your own internal activities. You can also look at other drivers should you have such in your footprint. And obviously, across all of this, being able to prove what you do and being able to work through the processes efficiently is critical, and that's what we are partnering to deliver to the industry and to consultants.
Great, thanks, Panu. So yeah, we're going to be spending some time on what's holding back growth in ESG Advisor. And to start off, I'm very curious to hear from you how you see the 4 challenges that we've identified and what balance you identified there. So very quickly, what growth challenges resonate with you? Is it the transition from really being a partner with external expertise to internally enable your clients to do better and to build systems? Do you feel more trapped in spreadsheets and repetitive work? Do you see the issue of not being able to compound value when you keep compounding hours? So do you see the marginal value per hour going down as a project progresses? Or is it more on the financial side that your relationship between time and money are basically pegged at the moment? So you'll see a poll come up on your screen. Curious to hear how that balance is working for you. We've been hearing all 4 in the market, but so let's see. And you can select multiple answers. We're seeing them roll in. Yeah, so there's about, we're trending towards a 40% preference for feeling trapped in spreadsheets and repetitive work. About 30% is worried about the hours compounding, not to client value. So basically, once you start a project, most of the value deteriorates after the first few weeks or months of engagement. The linear earnings model is also gaining a good amount of votes. And then, shifting from offering external expertise to internal enablement, it's a more complex topic, which means how are we going to shift from just putting down deliverables for the client to really building systems for them and then being a partner with them for the long term. So diving into those, summarizing the 4 topics that we just discussed, and then diving in, I think with the first one, shifting from external expertise to internal enablement. So what we've been hearing from the market is that clients keep valuing advisors and will keep valuing advisors for their deep expertise. That's what you're trained for. That's why you hire the smartest people in the job market to do that work. But what we're increasingly seeing is that customers are coming to us, software providers, but also to other kind of system builders, because they want to own their data, the tools, and the decision-making around those. So they're looking at not only receiving a deliverable, which is often an Excel sheet that they can reuse, but is often too complex to really work with, but they want to invest in that internal expertise, often on digital foundations. So there's often transformations going on within the organization that are all focused on digitalization. And then finally, they want to have better ways of working. So they want to get ahead of their competition. They want to do better with fewer people nowadays. The second topic that we've been hearing is the spreadsheets and repetitive work, and that was the most popular one today as well. I don't need to say that the current delivery model is inefficient. So we've been working in Excel for about 25 years now, or longer even. And the work we do is often scattered across tools and templates that we use. Different clients have different customization needs, while often the standards that we use are the same. A challenge that we've also been hearing is that the landscape's evolving very fast. So I remember before Omnibus, the CSRD had changed 8 times in the past 12 months. It's a lot of change to keep up with, especially if you have to deploy the same change across all your templates and workflows and actually take your consultants through that education journey. So yeah, mainly three pain points. So being stuck in operational grunt work, the inability to scale quality or speed. Ideally, you want both. And it really feels, especially for more junior and mid-level consultants, like every project starts from scratch. So they're looking for ways to keep themselves engaged. And yeah, they often find that in either a different employer or kind of trying to find a new direction. Well, we really believe that in the consulting space, and especially in sustainability advisory, there's no two companies that are the same. So there should be the variability if we focus on consultants spending time on their expertise and not so much on the repetitive part of the work. Then compounding hours that don't compound value. What we often see is, again, that point that knowledge gets stuck in the deliverables and not really the systems that enable them to do this work in the long term. The marginal value decrease after the first engagement. So that's what we often hear and often feel like when we're working with advisors, is that the first engagement is really wow, it's really helping us unlock a lot of value. But after that, we're spending more time on maintenance, on kind of handing over work that we should be doing, but we don't really know yet how, because we haven't built the systems for it. And we've seen a few consultants do this very successfully, where they turn their knowledge into repeatable assets for their clients. So there's programs that they run. They run that on a software baseline very often. And that's how they create leverage over the long term, where they can make that shift from really output-driven work, so deliverables that are either slides or Excel, to really systems-driven delivery, where you act as a partner for the long term. And obviously, the model is linear. So advisors tend to sell hours, and that has a few things that I need to tell you how volatile the consulting and advisory market can be. Omnibus was also a very big hit for a lot of advisors, and many are now trying to find a way to kind of stabilize their business. So how can we build a more stable baseline, and then through our advisory, on top of that, be a partner for our customers for the long term and not just for certain projects. It's especially challenging when we work in ESG. So there's a lot of things changing, and with that change also comes a lot of uncertainty. So customers aren't really willing to commit for the long term, where we found that technology in practice is a very good hook, as when you're the person that has helped them set it up, you're also the person that they're going to reach out to whenever they have challenges surrounding the implementation, the operational work around, surrounding that. And then the 4 steps we generally see make advisors successful: differentiation, automation, collaboration, and leverage. And we're going to tap into those 4 in a bit more detail. And then finally, I'm very curious to hear from you after we've went through what resonates most. So what's really the opportunities that you see for your own firm and your own business to grow? Differentiation is all about standing out as a forward-looking partner. We're operating in a market where there's a lot happening. A lot of smart people have jumped on the opportunity to enable this advisory, but there's also firms that have been around for tens of years and have the experience. But everybody faces the challenge of differentiation. So why are we different, apart from the relationship that we might have? And we see a technology-enabled model being an enabler for a few different things. So first of all, being able to productize services. So instead of charging hours, actually charging for value, which is often a higher margin business to be in. The possibility to have always on visibility, so you can also see what progress your clients are making in real time within the software platforms that they're working with. Being able to provide them with the dashboards and the insights, not only through static sheets, but actually a dynamic interface where they can play with the data and they can drill down to engage with you again and try to work on improvements. And then finally, making that step to capability building. So not only being there as an advisor that provides deliverables, but actually building those systems with them and educating them on how to work best with those systems.
Can I chip in something here?
Yes, of course.
So a critical thing that we see here is that the difference between the spreadsheet-based model and technology-based model is that with a spreadsheet model, your data is not getting better over time because you have to do everything and everything takes you hours. But when you work with a technology-based solution, the data goes to the platform from many sources through the tech vendors. So we have integrated at one Click LCA probably 70,000 LCA datasets this year, and we are probably adding before we hit summer another 100,000 or maybe 120,000. That's a massive amount of data. You can't just do it as a consultant. It would burn all your resources and more. So, but this means that every time you're going to look at something or a technology-enabled model, you're potentially able to get more precise, more granular, and that is a huge fundamental differentiation that you couldn't afford economically if you were using a spreadsheet approach.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I think even if you couldn't afford it, you could also say, I'll forward it to the client. Clients are really looking to combine nowadays really high quality, high volumes of data knowledge with an affordable price and a price point that they can endure for the long time. And yeah, you need to be a partner in that. We can't ask for more from the clients today, especially in the current landscape. Then comes the topic of automation. It's obvious, but automating manual work and focusing on expertise is something that we often forget in the day-to-day. It's all about automating things like data collection, transformation, lookups, calculations. There's tons and tons of data to work with, but often when we work in spreadsheets, when we're heads down and doing things manually, we tend to take the easy route instead of the deep analytical route, which a software platform can enable. And once we do that, we can really focus on the things that provide value from a perspective of expertise, something that software cannot do. So focus on strategy building that fits the company itself, operational excellence, meaning how are you going to do this consistently year on year with the same level of quality that you can go to your board with your results and say, hey, I'm very confident on the work that we've done. And finally, execution. Companies just need the capacity and they need to learn how to execute on these results that they're getting. Collaboration is a very nuanced topic. So collaborate like a partner, not a vendor. What's really the difference? It's a question that we've been asking a lot, and we've been discussing a lot with as consultants. Modern clients want to build for their future, but they want to do that with you. So what they don't like is when they get a deliverable that they don't understand, that they can't interface with, that is static, that holds limited amounts of data. But they expect shared tools between you and them. They expect transparency and they expect ownership. Not only ownership by you, but also ownership by themselves. And that's when it really feels like a partnership. So a shared system of record, embedded workflows that work with them, involving them in those projects, and then traceable collaboration, which means that whatever happens in a certain system can be linked back to a person that has taken an action, which increases accountability and obviously auditability of all your work. And then finally, leverage. And this is the aspect of uncertainty that we've seen in the past few months. A technology-backed model essentially enables an open door conversation starter. So being a technology partner for your customers means that you have a bridge that's always connected that can open a conversation. It means you can generate recurring revenue, so you can really build a baseline of revenue that isn't dependent on economic cycles, on very volatile things that can happen in the market in the short term, and eventually higher margins with lower delivery volatility, which I think every advisor is aspiring to build over the long term. So now that we've discussed those topics, curious to hear from you what resonates most. So where do you feel this is speaking to you? Is it really differentiation, automation, collaboration, or leverage? Yeah, and responses are rolling in, and we have a pretty clear winner in automation. 50% of responses are turning to automation, about 25% in collaboration, and then leverage and differentiation are going neck on neck at 15 and 10%. So it's obvious, I think, the point about automating manual work and building technology systems that can handle large volumes of data is a priority for many of you, and I think that's a great development. I think if we would have asked the same question about a year ago, when there was a little less experience, a little less certainty on processes, that percentage would have been lower. And then I'll hand off to Panu to share a few success stories from Click LCA, really from the field, and how they've enabled their consulting clients to build a successful business with software.
Thank you. So Click LCA, our original customer base are consultants, right? So we obviously nowadays we work with many end users and different types of end users customers. But so one mid-sized consultant, maybe I think 30 people from the UK we work with, is called Blue Marble. They work with, now I forgot what's the name of this end customer, but it's a railing manufacturer, big one by in the UK market. And what they basically needed to solve, how they can deal with huge amount of components they use for making railings, and that's a very good problem to solve for a consultant, because it's basically about how do you deal with the data complexity and that kind of thing, and massage that into an environmental product declaration. And Blue Marble created like a project around this for the customer. They were able to get the data collection, the calculation, reporting, third-party verification, and publishing all done in 6 months. And obviously, what's the interesting thing here is that on time, on budget, right? So which means that there's a business in it, and it's completely repeatable. So Blue Marble runs on another similar example where a customer has a huge supply chain, but the products are not that different. They can run again another project where they basically average out the product complexity into a set of EPDs. And Blue Marble keeps doing this for, I don't know actually for how many customers, but dozens, and it's a pretty significant line of business, right? For them. Can't disclose figures there, but it's material and for a 30-person company, and profitable line of business at that. So I think that's the other thing. So there's a lot of value for customers in this kind of solutions, because it allows you to actually really deal with a very complicated problem. Like 5,500 components is not like a trivial problem to manageable set of results. So another client on the larger end, Arcadis, is maybe around 50,000 people. I'm not exactly sure. Netherlands headquartered, if I remember correctly. But anyway, a global firm. So they work across a lot of different things. This case study is from our infrastructure project, one of the UK one as it is. And what Arcadis did is that they work for the end customer here, doing engineering and design, but they are also asked to decarbonize the asset with their engineering expertise. And if you have 5,500 components for some railings, you can imagine how many components you're going to have for an infrastructure project of this size. Motorway junction is like very significant. So here it's all integrated to their information modeling systems, which allows them to automate the data flows, quantity takeoffs, and map also the data automatically. So that saves time. And the fact that it's mapped immediately to Click LCA's databases increases the quality, because the data is precise. So it's going to be able to represent specific vendors that are being picked for specific products, or local or regional data. And so our Arcadis targets here 30% savings versus a conventional design, out of which already 22% of carbon savings are locked in, and the rest is on track. So obviously there has to be several design gates before everything is said and done, but it's looking very, very promising. And well, can't also disclose any financial implications for our customers. Arcadis is a listed company, but I'm fairly sure Arcadis is also not in it just for the fun, but they also run it as a commercial operation. And well, all of our consulting customers actually do, as I would imagine you as well. Next. So obviously these are just two examples, not to go through everything. So these are all from this year. So we have the Blue Marble case here and Arcadis case here, and then many from different sectors, different countries. You can find all of them if you just Google one Click LCA case studies. Many of them are industrial, many of them are construction, and then others are something else. So you should find something here that's hopefully relevant for what you're after. And I think the typical company size here is end customer size is 1,000 people or thereabouts. But then we have very small ones and very large ones. So we have a distribution. Yeah, that's it. I think in terms of success stories, happy to share more to the extent we can share if there's any queries on any of them.
Great. And feel free to drop any questions, even if it's practical questions on different models or anything specific in the box at the right bottom. And we'll cover them in a bit. So finally, enablement. Yeah, what do we do? We're going to spend 1 minute on how we help consultants achieve this success, starting with Panu.
So in our understanding, the value is realized when you are delivering a result to your customer. So your customer is on the right-hand side. They have an expectation. I need to comply with this standard. I need this result. I need to achieve this performance or whatnot. As a consultant, you know the spreadsheet monsters historically. You're working on massaging the data coming from different sources and making that happen. So what we try to do with one-click LCA is instead create connectors, plugins, and other things to allow you to flow the data through our interfaces or import it if you need to, and run a calculation either completely automatically or expert assisted, as the case may be. If you already have mapped your data, for example, you don't need to do anything for the next iteration. You just refresh it. And we put a lot of AI and a lot of technology on it to be sure that it's as productive as possible, and that allows you to actually deliver results faster and focus on iterations, because obviously it's those iterations that allow you to do advisory. So, hey, you have a hotspot here, but do you know that in this hotspot you have these things you could be doing? And that allows you actually to achieve something meaningful in terms of decarbonization and customer value, and of course social value as well out of your business, because just crunching through to get the LCA results or any other statement of where we stand today doesn't do much as such. So we are trying to free up your time to do the things that move the needle in a positive way, and that's really what we do.
Good. And then a quick recap on what we do. So I think we've been talking about building those long-term client relationships, ensuring that through automation you can get off the manual work and start focusing more on enabling your expertise to add value. And I think that's what it's all about, right? So we do that across greenhouse gas scope 1, 2, and 3 measurements, but all those products, including the compliance products, all speak to each other within the Coolset platform, which allows you to build a recurring business on top of it. When a customer starts on carbon and wants to expand on a voluntary framework, at some point grows it to the point where they need to get compliant. And there's a lot of variations to this that you can really expand with and set yourself up as a long-term partner. And then a bit more practically is when we work with advisory partners, we do a few things to support that. So we have a sales enablement portal with all the information you need that we've found resonates really well with customers. Clients get full access to the platform, which means that they can directly interface with the software that they've purchased from you. So you keep being the contact person, you keep generating the revenue from them, but they get visibility into their data, into the traceability, and feel like they've really built a system together with you instead of just gotten a deliverable. And then from our end to you as an advisory, partner. We offer training and customer success. So we really want you to be successful in growing your business and moving the needle for your customers. So we have a team available for that as well. That was it for today. So very keen to hear any questions that you might have. Pan and I will be hanging out here for another 10 minutes or so. We've added a QR code. Feel free to reach out to any one of us. When you're interested in LCAs and you come through us, we'll be forwarding you to Panu and the same way around. Obviously, if you're interested in the joint solution, we're also happy to chat together with the two of us. So thank you. I hope this was valuable.
Great. So I can see there's already one question from Tom Higgins. So what's the benefit of using software considering regulatory changes? Do you want to start with that?
Yeah, that sounds pretty relevant. Tom, I think you're leaning towards the things that are happening in the omnibus. One, we've launched a market study just after omnibus to see how companies would respond. We've launched it across 300 businesses and gotten responses. I think most companies are looking to invest in the long term, to either prepare for upcoming regulation or to really differentiate themselves in the market. Now, when you don't employ software, that means that you need to spend time training and retraining your employees and consultants to provide that value on a new aspect of regulatory compliance. What we internally do is that we have a research team, and with every regulatory change that comes up within 24 hours, we ensure that that's adapted in the platform. So you don't need to focus on adapting your ways of working, your systems, and training your employees. You just need to focus on enabling your expertise and achieving those goals. So we really take that work out of your hands.
Yeah, on one Click LCA side, it's the same, but LCA system changes typically have a lead time, and we may have to undergo a recertification of the product if standards change. Like it's not like ad hoc changes like in CSRD or similar. So we do definitely bear that cost and the recertification cost as well on behalf of customers.
Let's see if there's any other questions. If there's no questions, that means we covered pretty much everything, but I can't imagine we did.
All right. Well, if you don't mind, I'll just invite to anybody to join our summer sustainability summit. That's in about 2 weeks time or something. If you want to learn more about what one-click LCA customers do, maybe some ideas for new services you could be offering to your customers as well. So I put it in the chat now.
Yeah, perfect. I saw Lorna was typing a question.
While we are at it, maybe it would be interesting to hear from your perspective. What does the profitability of these services look like in your view currently? So like what are the services that are actually, more commoditized, and which ones are the ones where you can actually still earn your keep as a consulting business?
From my perspective, or the consultants in the chat?
From your perspective in the view of how does it look like on the consulting market?
Yeah, so I think what we hear from customers is that they're looking for results. They're not looking for deliverables or for kind of set projects. What often tends to be the best way to collaborate is, hey, you want to get compliant with a certain framework, we will help you get there, no matter the time it takes. And of course, there's some guardrails you set. On the greenhouse gas aspect, it's an exercise that is annual, that is repeatable, but that needs to be done on the correct baseline, that needs to show improvement year over year. And that's generally the type of value that customers pay for. Now, from a more practical perspective, so what are the frameworks that customers are investing in today? Greenhouse gas has really never dropped in popularity since the omnibus. I'd say perhaps we're seeing signs of it growing in popularity because customers are seeing it as a differentiator more than they used to, because they don't have to anymore. The VSME, the voluntary framework, is gaining popularity, but also for all firms with more than 1,000 employees. I think the mature companies are seeing this as an opportunity to do things right, compared to something that they had to do on a short time frame with very little good examples. So I'd say get into a conversation with them and really ask them, hey, what's coming up, not this year necessarily, but over the next 2-3 years, and how can we help you prepare for that?
Right. So there's two more questions from Tom Higgins. Thanks for the question. So what are the financial implications of working with software partners compared to consultants? So that depends obviously like what business you are in, but uh, I would recommend that if you are an end customer company like manufacturer, retailer, whatever, right, that you would still use a software, but you get the lifting done by consultants to the extent that you need to, right? So presumably if you have 10,000 employees, you don't necessarily need consultants for the same jobs, right? Then you're going to need them for very specialized things. How can we solve X? But then if you're in the smaller end of the spectrum, you probably need them also for some other tasks, because you may not have a person who's dedicated on this role, right? You may have a person who's just on a timeshare basis working on that role. So I think we would recommend using software irrespectively, right? And then choosing what you use your internal time on and what you use your external experts for. But in terms of business case, I think working with a software-enabled consultant very likely beats hands down working with a non-software-enabled consultant in terms of being an end customer, because you also get access to the data in a different way, and that allows you to go and zoom in on things and understand things and improve your business fundamentally. That would be my take. Do you want to answer the follow-up question, Konstantin?
Yeah, sure. So I think Panu already mentioned how in Click LCA in the software, they use AI to validate results to ensure that you get basically a trusted output and as accurate as possible. And I think on the Coolset side, it's very similar. There's two things that we're practically doing to basically increase the level of automation and reduce the level of manual work that you need to put into serving your clients. First of all, we have tens of thousands of mission factors, and from a perspective of quality, we focus on doing classifications and kind of data conversion on a per line item basis. So we try to go as granular as possible. For customers like Heineken or Karl Lagerfeld, that means hundreds and thousands or sometimes millions of line items that we'll need to classify, and that is a typical AI use case. On the compliance front, we are working towards a new, I'd say, I wouldn't call it a feature, but like a new way of working with our product, which means that instead of purchasing a framework and answering questions within that framework, we want you to enable your customers to ingest all of the data that they have in their business, the software to process that, and then to be able to generate reports on demand for the frameworks that you want to. So you can focus on ingesting the right data, on reporting in the right way that represents the business accurately, but not so much on answering 1,200 data points by hand. So yeah, I hope this gives a bit of background.
Yeah, seems like an easy choice to answer 12,000 data points by hand or stuff it into some kind of software to deal with it. But obviously controls, need to be there. So before you would get data audited, you need to still look over it, right? Because maybe, also it wasn't right in your input data, wouldn't be unheard of.
No, definitely a use case we encounter. Yeah, thanks everyone. So rounding up, thanks Panu for taking the time. Really appreciate it. And yeah, whenever you have questions, feel free to just email us directly. We're available for you and we're in good touch with each other. So if a question is not directed to the right person, we'll be forwarding it for you.
Excellent. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Ciao.
Cheers.